First one is from the homie Justin Gordon. He says, I wanted to go Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. He gave the offense more, but he didn't have enough, in all caps, dangerous left to take over the game while against the elites. In turn, it held Justin Fields' development back. So what Justin Gordon is basically saying, he wanted Russ to be out there because he felt like, that was going to be the guy. But unfortunately, he didn't have enough of the danger rush, the cool stuff that we like to see Mr. Unlimited do versus some of the elite guys, mainly down that 5-game stretch at the end of the season. And he said, in turn, that essentially hurt Justin Fields' development.
Yeah, I think that's what I said last show. If you're doing hindsight 2020, I think it was a mistake to go with Russ, given how the season ended, 10-7, 0-5 finish. But you don't know that at the time. You're still thinking you're in it, you're legit contenders, you're trying to win a Super Bowl, and there was a case for Russ. So, I mean, I'm not going to completely play that game, but the thing we wanted to figure out by the end of the season was what we're doing at quarterback going forward, and it feels like we're in the exact same spot.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate part. And low-key we are. I mean, think about it. Last year we switched out the whole quarterback room. Right? We said, man, we came back with a fresh 3 across the board. And now, at least from the start of it, we already know we got one that's completely brand new in terms of Skylar Thompson, with 2 guys that are pending unrestricted free agents in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. So there's still a very legitimate chance that we could also have a brand new quarterback room next year. Now, hopefully it won't be, but, well, it depends on who you ask. Right? Some people do want a whole new quarterback room, right? But I think that's the thing that reality is for us. We could very well be in the same boat again.
Yeah, and I think it's the same conversation with both the quarterbacks. With Russ, you're wondering, can he return back to vintage Russ form, like fully?
Yeah, because we saw flashes of it.
Absolutely.
We definitely saw flashes of it.
These last 5 games, this was Broncos Russ, maybe even worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wondering, like the case for him next year is like, with a full year under his belt, with full health going into a new season, can he be that guy for the Steelers? Him and Arthur Smith getting another year together. And then Fields, you're wondering the same thing. Can he reach his full potential? So, like, we have the same exact questions about Russ and Fields that we had heading into last season, going into 2025. So that's the unfortunate part. I think that's where he's coming from here. But at least Fields, I think you would have got an answer if you played him the full 17 games. Yeah, I think so.
Like, it would have been way clearer. With Russ, it gave you glimpses of vintage, and then it gave you more of, all right, it's older. It's kind of past that.
Right.
And that's the frustrating part, because now we're all having to play this game of, do we believe that Russ we saw during that span, we got up to 10-3 and we were, scoring 30 points. We were looking good offensively. We were looking explosive. Is that the Russ that we're going to get? Or is it the Russ that showed up in those last 5 games, or that we saw, in the playoffs, where it was like, it takes a little bit longer to kind of get it going. And if we don't have the pieces around him to support him, then we're going to see, how just stagnant the offense can feel at times.
It's like having two. It's like having a Kirk Cousins, and that's and my energy on that. I've been very consistent on that. So that's where I feel like Russ is right now. I don't think we got a chance to win a Super Bowl with him.
And you know how I feel like when we talk about those guys, I feel like in the right situation, they are good, but they're not force multipliers to the sense that you can put them in a Ravens, a Bengals, a Bills type of offense and say, go out there and make it always right. They're not that type of guy. Russ at this stage isn't that guy. That's the big reason why I'm like, man, if we're bringing Russ back, I feel like you have to get a wide receiver. You have to get more talent. I mean, even when we're talking about the Seattle element of it, we bring up DK Metcalf, but he also had Tyler Lockett. We know, I mean, he stayed with, whether it was the Golden Taste, the Doug Baldwin's, like, you're going to have somebody that is a legitimate option for Russ to give him that number 2. Right here, we love what we saw with GP at times, but we felt like the number 2 was a revolving door. Is it Calvin Austin this week? Is it Mike Williams this week? Is it Van Jefferson this week? And of the 3, who is going to be the one catch for 40-yard guy? Because it wasn't like we were getting 5 catches for 70. It wasn't like, all right, this is the game where this guy's going to take off and really eat. No, it was the 1 or 2 catches tops. So when you're talking about trying to build a plan around these guys or to structure it where we feel confident, it's hard to do that because outside of GP, we didn't know which of those guys would be the guy. So if you're bringing Russ back, I feel like you have to get that piece. I think it was more prevalent when we had Fields out there.
We need to get
early.
that piece no matter what.
Yeah, because when Fields was out there early, it was more prevalent because of that highlighted a little bit more of what Justin Fields was working to improve a punt. So with him, it was like, yo, we really got to get this guy. With Russ, he was a little bit more developed, so it was like, all right, we can kind of get away with it for a little bit until we saw, yo, he still needs that guy too, though. We need another guy. And I just think that now
something got found out with our offense, I feel like.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree, baby.
It goes hand in hand with your point. Like, early Russ, this season at least, those first 5-6 games or whatever, there was just an unpredictability with our offense, even with how we were calling it, too.
Aggressive when we needed to be, all the little stuff, man.
Yeah, the defense didn't get to see Russ for the first part of the season, so maybe that played into it. But then, these last 5 or 6 became Canada-esque. It just became predictable, and defenses had us found out and stale, and we didn't put up more than 17 points in any of these 5 games.
And it was like we had to labor to even get to the 17. It wasn't an explosive 17.
That was worse than any stretch we had with Kenny, Mitch, or Mason.
Yeah.
As sad as that is.
Yeah.